Hey everybody, it's Ebony with Everyday Melanin Magazine, and I just want to tell you guys this has been a roller coaster of a roller coaster of a year thus far. But we made it. We are here. We are safe. We are still blessed. And by blessed, I just want to tap into the fact that mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, a lot of us may have been, put to the test, but that again is to say that we're still here. And this event that we have, which is Everyday Our Men Matter, kind of taps all into the mental and physical health spectrum. So, that being said, I have three special guests, and they are Avery, Isaac, and Rodney. We are going to do a quick panel with you guys. And by quick, I don't mean like 2 minutes, but we're going to definitely have a pretty decent discussion on what's on their mind and to find out what mental and physical health really means to them. Because, as you know, in our communities, it's almost like taboo to talk about what is on a man's mind, a young boy to a man's mind. Like, let's just go there. Like, it starts from their adolescence to realizing we're a man. We're probably not supposed to speak or say this or say that. So today we're giving them the opportunity because why not? They deserve that platform to speak. So while we have Rodney over here, we're going to have you come on and just tell us what it is that you feel mental or physical health means to you, and are there any challenges that you have overcome, are overcoming, and what has that done for your, I guess, your business in a whole? Because I know you have a business to where you are a life coach. So how are those experiences, basically connected, and what is it that you want to share?
Well, if first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here, to be on this platform.
Absolutely.
To start off, again, my name is Rodney Benet with Rock Bottom No More LLC. One of the biggest things that I noticed in life itself, you go through the roller coaster of events. You go through the highs and the lows, or as I said to you before, character building moments. And in those character building moments, a lot of things have to start happening before you
Yeah.
kind of launch off. You kind of move where you need to go to. For me, I've had situations where within a year, maybe a 2 year span, I was single, dating, engaged, married, separated, divorced, and lost my job,
Wow.
all within a 12-month to 15-month time frame. In that time frame, I had to kind of look at what was going to happen with me. How was I going to bounce back and deal with these situations different from everything else? Because again, it was lived out loud. Everyone saw what was going on. My life was on display.
Yeah.
But I got to a place where I made a decision that I had to do. I had to make a change, and my change was in a number of different areas. Number one, I had to change my commitment to self. I committed to everybody else that was out there. And as a man, that's the first thing we do. We commit to everyone else and make sure everyone else is good. And we forget to start counting on ourselves when it's important.
Yeah.
The second thing I looked at was working on changing my habits. I had to find out what were those habits that I was doing that was causing my life to fall into a downward spiral and become the character building moments that they didn't need to be. I then changed my attitude. How was I looking at life? Was
Mm,
the glass half empty or was the glass half full? How was I able to work on those particular things to make sure that my attitude was correct? Because again, without my attitude, nothing moved.
right.
I then worked on the what I consider the non-negotiables in regards to my life. I had some things that I negotiated on in my past, some things that I didn't negotiate on, but I had to figure out what were those things and tweak what had to be changed because I was in the cycle of doing the same thing over and over again. We all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. But until I changed those non-negotiables to negotiables, or vice versa, I didn't make things didn't happen. The next one I had to look at was I had to get out my comfort zone because life became such a um, a downward spiral and I was getting hit on all sides, I became emotionally numb.
Mm.
So for me, I got into a comfort zone where I didn't want to move because I was okay. I'm not getting hit right now. I'm okay. I don't even want to move right now because
Yeah.
I'm not getting hit. So because of it, it was like, okay, how do I fix and work out the situation? How do I be able to move? And it was one day where my normal routine was to do Uber or do Uber in the morning. And I was downtown Wilmington, Delaware. So I was there probably about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because most executives are in the downtown area to go to Philadelphia.
Right.
So I would do that work and go to Philadelphia. I take one ride, go to Philadelphia, drop them off. That's about a $50 ride. I would then sit inside of that area and wait for a ride from Philly to Delaware, another $50, $60 ride. Middle of the day, they got kind of stale and stagnant. So I turned off Uber or Lyft, and I went into DoorDash or Uber Eats, and I would do that until about 11:30 p.m. There was one day where I woke up and I looked into the mirror, and I was getting ready to head out, and I looked into the mirror. I didn't feel well, and I didn't recognize the person looking back at me in the mirror from the reflection. That reflection made me say, "Wait a minute, I couldn't do anything that day. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything." It's interesting how sometimes life will will put you in a place where you have to face the reflection looking back at you. And once that reflection looks back at you, you now have to deal with the reality of what's going on.
Yeah.
So I dealt with those particular pieces and I worked with the necessary things. And at that moment, I had to break down and deal with what I'm talking about in regards to getting out of my comfort zone. And at that moment, once I realized that I had to get out of my comfort zone and I had to kind of tweak the different things that I needed to do, for me began to change. And the last thing that I worked on was I stopped making excuses because excuses are nothing but lies wrapped up in reason. So I stopped justifying the fact that things weren't working. I stopped giving responsibility to everybody else but myself. I stopped giving I stopped pointing fingers and looking, okay, what did Rodney do to get to this situation? What decisions did I make 5 years ago to get me to where I am right now? Because where you are right now, where
Yes.
we are sitting right now, October 16th, 2020, is a direct correlation of the decisions we made 5 years ago.
Yes.
So if we go back to October 16th, 2015, what were the decisions we made up to from that point forward that shifted our lives to get us to where we are now? So if I wanted to change 2025, I have to start making decisions today to change my 2025. I can't wait for 2025 to get here and start changing. I make the decisions now that will start shifting things in my life to make it work. So I went through the changed mindset and fixed on working some things because I realized that without the changes of those things, my life was never going to be the same. And the minute I started doing that,
Mm-hmm.
I got more momentum and things started to move and shift as I started making those changes. Was it easy? No, but it was necessary. And I got uncomfortable. I got out my comfort zone. It was
Yeah.
uncomfortable. I was able to move in that particular space to make things work.
That is something because when you mentioned being uncomfortable and in a space where you had to act, it was like act now or that's it.
Yep.
And that's it. And I can attest to that feeling when I left my 9 to 5. It was almost like a pressure on my chest. I was in bed and I was like, all right, I'm about to get up to work. And I couldn't move. And I was like, hold on. And to your point, mine happened to be a year prior. I said to myself, and I put it to the universe, I would be leaving that job the next year. And that next year ended up being the day where I wasn't supposed to get out of bed, I guess. And I did
Right.
it. Like I
Right.
literally did it. So, and that unknowingly to me, I didn't know that was supposed to happen. But just hearing what you've been through, again, I thank God that you made it through that because in a year span and all of those domino effects happening to you, a lot of people would have took that and be like, all right, whatever, I'm done. I'm over it. You know what I mean? And I say kudos to your courage in continuing to push through that. Because again, it's not easy. So with that being said, I want to ask you, Avery, to kind of piggyback on what he's been saying. Did you find yourself in a situation similar and how did you get through it?
Um, yes, I was in a very similar situation as far as, being depressed, but not even knowing I'm depressed.
Mhm.
Not being like the man in me didn't want me to like,
Yeah.
you know what, like I'm a man. That'd never happen to me. That'd never happen to me. I ain't depressed. I ain't this. But once you start seeing those signs and you're like, hold on, that's sounds like me. And I think I talked to you about this before. I was just one night, it's probably 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm on Instagram and I see, and this preacher started talking and I'm like, let me listen. And I end up, going into the story and then, actually looking it up on YouTube and watching the whole sermon. And he said, you can't, until you let go of your pride, you won't be able to heal. And I broke down in the tears, started crying, and started reflecting on things that I can control and things that I cannot control. And one of the things I knew I could control is how I react to certain situations and how I treat myself and how I treat my own body. And as far as like I tell everybody, what fuels me in the gym might not be the right thing to fuel me in the gym, but guess what?
You're in the gym.
Fuels me in the gym and I get out all that frustration and that anger in the gym. And you kind of get by seeing results, that makes it, makes it all worthwhile. And even it, like last year, I didn't coach last year and I seen myself getting the most depressed as I've ever been when I wasn't coaching. And I didn't know what anxiety was until I stopped coaching. I'm explaining to she's like, man, it sounds like you got a little bit of anxiety. I was like, man, I don't even know what that is. But if it sounds like I have it, I might have it because, not being, hands-on and one-on-one with my son and watching putting, my son in the hands of somebody else and, trying to teach him and do things that me and him both know aren't right. It was a lot. And, dealing with going through a divorce and being depressed about that, but like I had to get out of that box. I had to take myself out of there and be I guess be optimistic on that wasn't for me. God has a better plan for me. God is not going to allow, like, God puts you in situations and God takes you out of situations, but it's up to you to you know learn the signs and you have to, it's not a blessing unless you recognize it as one. And it's it was hard, but like I said, I'm here today, and ever since I did that, everything has been aligned. Like I've been through things, and God knows your intentions. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter what you repeat, God knows your intentions, and as long as he knows you have a pure heart, there's nothing anybody or nobody can say to me that's gonna, deter me from getting to where I know God wants me to be. So I'm
Oh,
cool.
absolutely. So let me ask you, with you, I guess, having that understanding and knowing that it's almost like you had to just get out of your own way in order to let God, like, literally have His way with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you fight it? And
Um,
when if you fought it, how was that retraction? Like, was it like a tug pull for you
it,
too,
it
or?
was so listen, my my the dynamics of my divorce and what led up to my divorce, it it was dragged on along for almost 2 years. And during that 2 years, I was the person, saying like, this isn't how married couples, resolve their issues. But if you're married, God doesn't give you a practice marriage. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as, oh, this is just my, my trial run. No. But God does allow you to, get out of your marriage under certain circumstances. And I realized that God wasn't going to hold it against me on why the marriage was over. So once I came into grips with that, I was still, I told myself up until the day that we, to the divorce is final, I would be willing to work it out. But after it's finalized, there's nothing that she could do or say or any type of event that would make me want to do it. And like I told Ed before, is like, I did everything that a father, a husband, and a man was supposed to do leading up to that divorce. Everything. Like it wasn't no talking to nobody else. It wasn't no mistreating it. Wasn't none of that stuff. I did none of that. And like I said, I'm going to go out of this the same way I came into it, and God is going to know my intentions. He's going to see that my heart is pure, and whatever He has, lined up for me, it is going to be better than what I had.
I'm happy that you can, wholeheartedly accept that. Because again, I in us talking and just, off the record, I know that was a fight for you. So to know that you're I won't even say content, but you're at peace with your decisions, and you can accept that it has obviously made you go on the up and up from there on. It was almost like, all right, God, I trust you. And then boom, he's giving you that peace of mind to be able to rest at night, to know that your kids are good, to know that you're good. And, same like I said with Rodney, I commend you on that too, because it takes courage to get out of situations that feel so comfortable, that become a habit and you don't even realize it's a habit. So,
and not I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
It's so easy to go the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's the easy thing. Oh, I'm just going to do drugs. I'm just going to be out here messing with all types of women and doing this and doing that. That's the easy thing. That's what society, wants you to do. That if you're going to be that statistic, go ahead and do what society wants you to do. But once you realize, that God has a better plan for you, and what you doing things the godly way. Yeah. It's kind of, he's going to give you choices, but it's up to you to pick what choice you want.
Absolutely. It's funny because I was actually about to ask Isaac, I was going to ask you something. Yeah. Hey. So I spoke on habits not too long ago with Avery, and I wanted to ask you, are there any cycles and habits you had to break to get to where you are mentally and physically today? Say.
That's
a loaded question, dude.
I'll say the biggest habit was nutrition, because it's very, so to get to the level I'm at, the discipline that's required is not for the faint of heart. But I'll probably say that's the biggest habit that I had to break, of something that you can talk about that's a habit from an activity standpoint. And then I would say the other habit I had to break was figuring out, it's not so much a habit, but figuring out how to use self-doubt in a positive way. Because what happens when you're doing this, you keep butting up against the ceiling. And you're like, okay, and I tell my clients and my teammates this all the time, that's when you're doing things right, because you've done everything right. You've done all the workouts, all the nutrition, you've hit every single thing, and you're like, oh my God, am I going to be ready, or am I going to be here, or wherever that next step is. And I'm telling you, that self-doubt comes from saying, hey, I've given everything. And then what you do is, once you overcome that, you say, oh, I can get to another level. Because I say, at the end of the day, if you are not the best in your field, there's always another level to achieve until you hit that best, until you hit that best. But yeah, those are the two things that I'll probably say to keep it in a neat box without really going on a typical Isaac tangent. That those are the ones that I would, I would say.
I get it. Now, did you, I guess, to slightly get into that Isaac tangent, because I you know me, I appreciate them. And I'm going to get into it. Mentally, how has those same habits you just mentioned or whatever, or just how to overcome those habits, how has that provided you with peace within yourself? Because again, you had to overcome something, but has it been more beneficial than, I guess, loaning that doubt back to you, or are you without doubt now? Where are you at? Where do you stand?
Well, see, so So people will see that I'm very confident, and my confidence comes from doing the work, because I know I've done the work. So at the end of the day, it's like when you present a product, whether it's on stage or present a client on stage, I know we've done every single thing that we need to do to be there. So it's like, so you have this innate confidence from doing the work, but I still have that doubt. But the whole thing is using that doubt. My whole thing, I'm always talking about, what do you use for fuel? Sadly, it's easier to use negative things for fuel than it is positive things. It just is what it is. But the good thing about it is turning that negative to a positive. So when you have, sorry for the background noise, but when you have those negatives, so I know when I start to get I'm 6 weeks out from the show. Oh my God, I'm not gonna win. I'm gonna look like crap. All these different things that go through my, when I know, and this is going to come off really bad, when I know I look better than 99% of the people walking this earth, you still feel like you're way down here, because you're like, oh my God, you just get in your head, you have all these different thoughts and everything like that. So once you master the ability to use that as fuel, to use it as, I'm at that next point, that's what I've done, and that got me to where I need to be, and that's what helps. And if I heard you correctly, I think I heard you say the word peace. So I'm never really at peace per se. When I'm at peace is when I'm with a client, because I love helping people. So when I'm helping somebody, I'm kind of at peace in that moment. And then when I'm up on the stage, I'm at peace in that moment. Because you've watched me play sports, I play sports with you, like, that's like my theater. So because like a lot of people like, you're not nervous being up there. I'm like, hell no, that's my I absolutely love it. But the thing is, I'm one of the biggest introverts you'll ever meet. You know what I mean? So like, you're so outgoing and everything like that. But yeah, but I'd rather be sitting at home watching TV versus doing that. But that's where, so it's like one of those things, like when you say like words, like peace. So you have to understand what peace means to you. Not so much do I have peace or whatever, but understand what it means to you. Because once you start using your own definitions for things, it makes your life so much better. Because when you go by the societal definitions of peace, family, kids, that and the third, that's not necessarily your peace. You can have those things, but it's not necessarily your peace. So that's what, jams up a lot of people, is they're not focused on what peace truly means to them. And then the last part of that, we're all busy, we're all adults here. I'm not sure if Rodney has kids, but I know the rest of us have kids. So we basically always have something going. Look me right now. We always have something going on.
Yeah.
Understand, we have peace in moments. It's not like, I don't know if anybody's being honest. I can't remember the last time I had a truly like a peaceful day where I've been from wake up to, you know what I mean? I don't think that's it. Vacation ever. But so you have to understand, like, through a day, if you can get 10 peaceful moments, so that could be 10 minutes, could be 10, I don't know, but you can get like 10 minutes, you had a pretty solid day, and I'll tell people, off of that, like, go for those moments, try to find them, and look, if it's only 5, that 5 minutes can recharge you for like a week, you know what I mean? So don't underestimate the power of that, because that's true. Sometimes, because, I have a gym in my house. Just sometimes I'm not working out. I'm just taking 5 or 10 minutes to kind of be left alone. I'm sitting on the bench.
So to sit here.
That's my little...
No, I get it. Thank you so much, Isaac. Now I have to say I commend you, because I know from whence you've come to where you're at now. And for those that don't know Isaac, that was a tremendous, like, in between moment for him to almost, like, I guess, snap out of, because as he mentioned, once you're an athlete, you're technically always an athlete, but there's a moment where you're like, it's almost like you slack everything and you feel like you failed yourself. And I can recall when he started his process in getting back into shape. And I think you were really reshaping your mindset before you were even reshaping your body, because I think that's really what it is. We're really changing the way, as Rodney mentioned, we got to change the way we think. So in that, it's shown a different side of you, which I appreciate. And, you know, it just sounds like with all three of you, with what you've gone through and hearing that you've overcome, that's the key. Like, I know we're not always going to be where we want to be. And I know we're always not, or we're not even always going to overcome something at certain moments that we assume that we are, I guess. And sorry, guys, that is my phone. But I think that just knowing and having that mustard seed of faith to realize I am going to overcome it is just, you know, that's all that it really takes to, I was going to say the promised land, but as you mentioned, there's that little bit, 5-minute piece. Yeah, we're just going to call it that. 5 minutes apiece. That's it. So, you know, I thank you, Isaac, for that. Rodney, I wanted to ask you, because it's kind of to piggyback on what Isaac was saying not too long ago, which kind of triggered to, I guess, something that you might even teach with life coaching or what have you. If there's societal stigmas placed on everything, and being of a spiritual background that you have and everything like that, where does it become okay to say, I'm going to do things my way? I understand what I'm guided through with, you know, the word of God. I understand what society is placing things on me or whatever, but when is it okay to say, I trust in God enough to know that whatever I choose for me is for me, even if it's outside of, again, what the word of God might have said or what society might place on you. Anything you could say on that?
Well, I can say this. It's funny we're talking about this now because I'm working on through a project called 30 Days to Your New Normal. And the reason being is because we have gone through this societal roller coaster of what everyone calls as normal. And the reality is until I center myself, until I stop looking at what everybody else has, and I said this in one of my posts, until I become selfish for me first. Because as if I'm empty, there's nothing I can do to be able to give you if I'm empty.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a position where I can say I'm a little bit selfish for myself, I can start working on, if it's personal development, whatever it is, I can start fine tuning what I call the spices of life: my spiritual, my physical, my intellectual, my cultural, emotional, and social. I work on those things. At any given point in time, I focus on making those things real. I find out what makes sense for me. As an adult, we realize sometimes what our parents said got us through, but it was foundation. It wasn't always gonna. It may not always be the same. We're not gonna go back to the floppy disk when it comes to computers. We're gonna, but it got us here, right? We're not gonna go to the brother's computer, the brother's typewriter, but it got us here. So whatever we had at one point serves as foundation. Now, as we grow, we get a chance to kind of go in and fill in the holes, find out what the situation is. Because if there's an issue with any foundation, anyone who's ever built a house knows the time you spend building a foundation is the most important and the longest time. Why? Because if that foundation is off, nothing above that foundation is going to work. Nothing's going to work. So I have to now go back and see, okay, if there's a crack in my foundation, where did it come from and how can I fix it? Now, again, what I call as normal may not be normal to Isaac, may not be normal to Avery, may not be normal to you. My new normal is going to be me. But in that space that I have, let's fix that foundation. Let's get the basics done, and everything else above that will end up begin to work. But again, it's understanding what it is. There are times where you're going to have to look in the mirror and find out, what does that mean for me? Some may rely on the Bible, some may rely on the Quran, some may rely on whatever it is. But whatever that normal is for you, make that your baseline and build from that baseline up. Don't just sit on that one thing and say that's all it is. Find out, study, learn about the situation. For example, Isaac has mastered fitness. He's spent time in that arena to learn and master and be good at that part. So if that's not my arena, I'm a researcher. I was like, Isaac, I don't understand this part. How can you help me grow in that space and create the normal that I want, that I need in my life?
Yeah.
So all those things have to now come into play to make it work. But again, I have to make my normal my normal.
I like that. And I appreciate you touching on the start from wherever your, quote unquote, whatever your foundation is and build off of that. Because I think far too often, and I'm not going to lie, like, okay, so I'm 36 years old. There's times now where I look at situations and I'm like, I would never. Why would I, or that wouldn't work for me. Why would I even try to go back to that? Or why am I allowing something that worked for someone years ago to, you know what I mean? Like, again, I feel like what works for you definitely is how we should, I guess, push forward. But I want to ask you, Avery, and then we'll close out with Isaac one last time, is do you feel that in the space you're in now, you'd be able, like, in knowing that you are coaching, you feel like you're giving back to the kids that way, in that space of giving back, what is it that you feel you can help others with your story? Like, how can you help? Take your time. Take your time.
I wanna touch on a sensitive subject. So it's like going through what I've gone through and certain situations, as far as like with my kids and coaching, like it's always been that you never know what that person is going through. So to some of the kids on the team and some of the kids on a lot of teams, everywhere, is the kids that rely on football to get away from their home life. It's kids that are out there just because their parents are making them be out there. And it's kids that are just out there really just having fun. I'm just out here having fun. And what I think as far as like what's going on is if I could talk to the parents, which I really didn't like to do before, talk to your kids. Understand your kids, because it's easy to come home and say, oh, they're close, they're I fed them, they have a roof over their head, they have video games, they have new sneakers. All right, I got a cool kid. What is your kid thinking? What is your kid doing while you're in the other room doing whatever you're doing? Be that outlet for your kids. So somebody else giving them information might, it might not be, the right thing. Or even if it is the right thing, I'd rather me tell my kid the right thing, and then they might hear the same thing again. But I don't want to like stir them wrong. And like mental health doesn't just affect adults; it affects kids too, and it affects them a lot worse than adults, because they get to that point to where they're listening to certain music. They're listening to other kids who haven't been through what they've been through. They're just going off of what they see on social media, or how many likes that I get, or this person doesn't like me, or that person doesn't like me. They deal with a lot of social media stuff, in school stuff, that they don't feel comfortable coming home telling that their parents. Now, luckily, my oldest son, we talk about everything. Like, we talk about everything. It's certain things that I don't like. Of course, I don't involve him in adult business, but it's certain things that where if he comes to me with a question, I'm never going to tell him, don't worry about it, don't stay in a child's place. I'm going to give him the best 12-year-old answer I can give him, because that's that open line of communication. And when he wants to come and tell me something, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I don't want to hear about that. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to hear about that. He can tell me whatever he wants to tell me, because once I make it a habit of cutting him off and not listening to what he has to say, no matter how small or how big it is, it's just going to sit there and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And then he might lean on what he heard in the song by going to do drugs. He might lean on what he heard from his friends and go in the liquor cabinet. He might lean on what he sees on TV, start cutting himself, or he might lean on different avenues of things to where he really won't understand. But as the parent, as the coach, I want to be that outlet to these kids, because it's not only about sports and football. I want to teach you things that you're going to be able to use through life. And like right now, like I said before, you know, I have kids that are playing high school football that I've coached, and just seeing them still playing football and being like, you know, these young men that I've coached, it just you know, it's that warm fuzzy feeling you get inside, like, yo man, I did that. Like, I'm glad that when I had this kid, that I was able to help them build on their, you know, the interest in football, and not break it. Because you have a lot of people out here that just out here doing it for the money, or just out here doing it for their own child. Because like, even my son's on the team that I coach, I'm coaching everybody else's kid more than I'm coaching my son while we're at practice. But when it's one-on-one time, like me and my son work out every other day, if not every day. So I get one-on-one time with him. So when I'm out there coaching, I told the other parents, like, the parents want me to be the head coach next year. And I'm like, maybe I don't want to do that. You know, I'm just out here. I like bouncing around, you know, helping this kid at this position, helping this kid, asking this kid what he did today. Hey man, hey, everything okay? Everything all right? Going around just, you know, having that different relationship with these kids, because it's not about just being a coach. You have to build a relationship with these kids.
Absolutely.
Because you, like you said, you never know. You might get that phone call 1-2 o'clock in the morning and say, hey coach, I just need somebody to talk to. And that's what it's all about. Like, that's what it's all about. It's not about, of course, everybody loves winning. I love winning, but it's not about winning.
Yeah.
It's about, I win when I feel as though like I helped the kid out, as far as, you know, something besides football.
Well, it clearly shows that you are helping.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Isaac, first off, Avery, thank you for that. You will be receiving an email. Everybody is going to receive an email, but I want to ask the same question to you, Isaac. With everything that you've mentioned, are you in a position to actually help? And if you are in a position to help, by help, I mean, obviously in your area of expertise, how can you help? What is it that you can do to help, or lend, you know, a few words of encouragement? Tell me.
Right. So, I mean, definitely I'm able to help because I reach people on a daily basis, because it's crazy. You know, I've literally saved people's lives, like people that, you know, got people off of diabetes, and not with some magic potions or anything like that, literally by fixing their nutrition, getting them active, you know, and things like that. So there's that part of it. There's the part, you know, in helping people where you help them break some of these mental barriers, because there's a lot of people have been overweight for a long time, and they think, oh, well, I can lose 10 pounds, but I can't do anything past that. And they get these things like, you know, us as Black people, we think that we're genetically predisposed to diabetes. No, there's no science that backs that up. The only thing that we pass down are bad habits. That's the fact right there. So one of the things, and you know, in terms of helping, is I help people understand, no, this is why you are like this, and this is how we're going to help and get you to that next level. So on that side, but then also on the business side, because, you know, started a business from, I always say I turned a hashtag into a company. You know,
You did.
now I was, you know, for a company, I own 18 trademarks right now, you know, a lot of different things that are going on. So like, I like to, you know, help, because even inside my own house, you know, with my sons, every time they want something, my daughter, she's too young to ask for stuff yet. She turns 1 next week. But, you know, when they ask for stuff, what I do, I make sure that they give me like a mini business plan, all this stuff, no matter how crazy it looks. I'm always going to say yes, but teaching them those little things now. So those are, like, you know, it turns out, I'm a big believer in change starts in your house. Whatever change you want to see in the world, you got to do it inside your own household first. Because if you can't get a hold on that, you can't really affect much change, you know, beyond that. But those are the, you know, those are the, you know, the major things with me, you know, in terms of helping, and anybody can, you know, reach out. I mean, I'm constantly in contact with different people, literally all over the world. I have clients all over the world, you know, through the magic of things like Zoom, FaceTime, you know, social media. So, but that's it with me.
Thank you. And Rodney, same thing with you, man. You are not exempt. how can you help? And are you in a position mentally to pour from your glass into somebody else's glass or cup or plastic cup, styrofoam? It could be whatever.
I'm definitely able to help. Again, I did not. I wrote a book 2 years ago. When you hit rock bottom and smile, you're not falling anymore. 7 principles on how to move from rock bottom to success. And the reason why I wrote that, I thought was just to write the book. It wasn't until I went through my rock bottom that I applied the principles from the book that helped me get through my situation. So I say that to say this. Um, if you can learn from my mistakes, learn from my mistakes. So you don't have to repeat the same things over and over again. I'm willing to become an open book and be real and be as transparent as possible, so everybody gets a chance to kind of really see what that situation is. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to kind of help out in that space. They can reach out to me. They have you have my contact information. You want to share that with them, but we have opportunities where we're definitely willing to either individualized coaching or group coaching or whatever have you. We have a chance to get that done and be able to give you everything you need to get you to that level where you need to be.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you. And again, I just want to say thank you all. Like, I love all y'all. Like, this was really like, I say amazing a lot, but I'm about to say dope because this was dope. Like, today was, I'm not going to lie, I was like stressing because I'm like, oh man, I'm usually good with talking with people, especially guys. I feel like I talk better with guys than I do with girls. Again, I was raised around men, boys, guys, Avery included.
I like talking to people. I promise you.
So it's like, you know what?
I can coach kids, but as soon as parents want, I'm usually like when parents want to talk and ask questions, I'm walking away.
But y'all just gotta understand, like today, knowing that I was able to, just have this, and you guys were, without question, y'all all jumped in, no excuses, and the no excuse crew, he didn't even hear that, and just you guys were just ready, and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate that, and I just want to say congratulations to all of you for your future endeavors, for whatever you're doing right now, for what you continue to do. I see some great things through all of you. No, I'm not no psychic, but I feel it in my heart and my spirit that, this energy, this spiritual connection that we've all just really brought into ourselves just through this conversation alone. It was really, really good. And again, it's necessary. It's the important things. And while I know we didn't tap into too much, just know that we're going to have another conversation because I'm doing follow-ups. That is my accountability. I'm checking in with y'all, making sure everybody is still good and on the up and up. Because for me, giving back to others is what really helps me continue, just to be happy and just to feel like I have a place in this world. You know what I mean? It's probably my calling. Who knows? But I don't know it yet. But like I said, I just want to say thank you guys.
Hey!